also hated school. Absolutely hated it.
Even I hated school.
Terrible. I still think it's the biggest punishment you can do to a child. And I went to Oxford University, guys, by the way.
Hi guys, I am Sid.
And I'm Vera.
Welcome to another episode of The Balanced Path. We have with us the super dynamic
Hello.
Gurmehar Kaur. She started off being a student activist. She's now a journalist. She's triumphed a lot of controversies in life.
Yeah, lots.
And-
Too many.
And here we are sitting with her. We've actually been laughing all this while. A lot of things. We talked about a lot of people we do not want to name right now. So that'll just be like
we're not gonna
in the
tell
books.
you the gossip.
But thank you for being here.
No, thank you for
Thank
having
you.
me. Thank you. I'm so excited.
You know, I just want to start off very light. Actually, not very light. But tell me, like, why journalism?
I don't know. I feel like a lot of times when we do these introductions, and it's always like writer, activist, journalist, I feel very uncomfortable with labels. I don't know if it's just me. I don't know what it is, but I just feel also because so many labels were like placed on me when I was so young, 19, and you guys have known me like when I was a child. I mean, when I was 19, you've seen me
Right.
be like a complete idiot, and imagine suddenly like the world has place these labels like activist or writer or anti-national or whatever those labels might be. Do you know? I mean, they could be good, they could be bad. Leader, brave person, and they're quite heavy.
They are.
All these labels come with so much responsibility and so much baggage of their own. And I just feel like when you're 19, in your early 20s, even in your mid 20s, there's so much you're exploring for
lot.
yourself,
Right,
right? I mean,
right.
I don't know when you guys were in your mid 20s, when you're in your late teens, we had no idea who we are. So I feel very wary of labels. I just feel like I'm doing this thing where I'm like, all the things I like to do, I'm gonna try them. I have this great, wonderful opportunity and the ability to be able to try it. So might as well.
Nice.
Do you know what I'm saying? I like
Absolutely.
writing, so journalism.
Nice. Makes
Yeah,
sense, right?
yeah.
I had a label when I was 20.
Which
Which
one?
one?
They used to call me Villa. True story, guys. True story. Also,
The greatest label of all time.
like, ये तो Villa. I'm like, okay. So I had to live up to it. And I still try to be as Villa as possible.
Oh God.
But I actually...
Very anti-capitalist of you. It's just like my aim is to be as real as possible. I don't want to feed into the system. Truly.
Socialism all the way, guys. But I actually, I made a mistake there. I also wanted to. There's another label I have to give you. You're also a climber. Right?
No, I don't know. I don't want it too early to say. I feel like too early to say.
You posted about it, so
I
technically
posted.
you're now a climber.
Okay,
sorry.
no. I feel like if we're going to associate
Climbing
any
enthusiast.
enthusiast, a beginner. I'm
Okay.
only starting now. I feel like because I'm pretty sure there are tons of climbers who've been doing it for years,
Right.
and I
They'll
don't
be
want to
offended?
sit. Yeah, I don't want to sit here and be like, yeah. So I just joined the climbing gym. I've been loving it, and I've been doing it for like on and off a year. And I'm a no. I feel like I'm not gonna do that because I know there are so many people who've done this, who spend
Right.
their whole lives for
Right,
it and
right.
are not on a platform being able to. I'm not gonna claim it.
Sorry,
I'm
all the climbers.
Yeah, just sorry. I'm not claiming it. It's your sport. I'm a beginner and I want to learn. And hopefully one day I will be.
So she's a climber.
Yeah, but I think if you do want
But a
to,
beginner.
yeah, but if you do want to,
Sub-labeling you now.
yeah, but if you do want to associate a sport, I think tennis would be it.
Yeah,
I
you
think,
played tennis,
yeah,
so
I've competed all my life.
That's
Yeah.
pretty cool.
Yeah.
Now, we were talking about labeling. Quick question that came into my mind is like, everybody gives everybody labels, like, you
Yeah.
know, whether they
Right.
are like serious labels or like just labels that come out of your mouth, ke aise hai, waise. Do these labels kind of start dictating how you live life in terms of like, okay, zyada deep ho gaya. It's like, I want to do this, but hey, no, but everybody says I'm a good person, so I should be doing this. Do they like kind of hamper your decision making?
Sid, it's a second question. ये थोड़ा late लगा था.
Cut karo yaar.
Can't just be like, so let's go deep. Deep dive into your most complex things.
Vera,
Okay.
tu puche sawal.
No, but I think it's true. I
It
do
is,
think
right?
it's true. But I think it's the way I've experienced it. I've experienced it. But the thing But the way I now explain it to people was that I know that my mom at home never put any pressure on us. We never went to school. I mean, we went to school, but we went to a very non-traditional tennis boarding school where we had school for 3 hours, but we were training
For a long
for a
period.
long time at Harvest. And we that's where I grew up. That's where I turned 18. That's where I did all my education. So my mom never really cared about what your career is going to be. She's like, कर ही लेंगी कुछ मतलब
कुछ तो कर
कुछ तो
लेंगे."
सिखा ही दिया है बाकी देख लेंगे. She's very chill about it. And then suddenly I go to DU LSR and everything happens, and overnight I'm an activist and all these labels and all these pressures, and society has their eyes on me, and there are these expectations of what am I going to do next. And I feel like I did that for a bit. I wrote the book that I had to do. I went to the protest that I had to do. I organized even when we were abroad in the UK, or I organized when I had to do. I spoke about the right things when I had to do. If there was an atrocity, raised awareness about it, the whole thing. But then I think, and then studied the subject I was meant to do. And then COVID happened.
Right.
And suddenly all of this came to a halt. And I'm sitting by myself alone in the UK, no family, no chance of going
Right.
back. All the friends that I had completely drained out. And Oxford is this it's stunning when there are people around. But imagine a town full of castles made in the 1300s and completely empty. It's very eerie.
It's-
So
right.
so I was just there and I was like, oh my God, what am I going to do in life? You don't know what's going to happen.
Right.
There's no vaccine. I don't even know what tomorrow is going to be like. I had this entire plan and I was like, I feel like I completely burnt out at that point, and crumbled. But like I say, I feel like, and then I changed my life path. I was just like, I wanted to come back, sort of had an idea, whatever that idea was.
Yeah,
Maybe I
yeah,
won't
yeah.
share it, but had an idea of what I was going to do. And I was like, nope, I'm going to go exploring. And I think that for me was for my own self was quite radical in a way, because there was all this expectation of what I was going to do. And I remember telling someone I felt like a kid who spent at 19, spent all their time doing the IIT JEE exam, cleared it, went to IIT for 5 years, was great at it, 5th year, realized, hell no, I don't even know who I am. Because you've been so deep and so focused on this one goal that everyone around you wants to, see you achieve. And everyone around you could be your family, could be your society, could be, your people on social media.
Yeah.
And suddenly you reach that end of it and you're just like, never really wanted to do
Nope.
it. Don't like it.
Wasn't for you.
Wasn't for me.
Right.
And I don't know. And I just feel, I think just to answer the question, it is quite hard. I think
It is,
these labels, do they define? They do. A lot of times they do. But can you live by that definition? I don't think you
I don't think
can.
so.
I don't think, yeah.
I think COVID in terms of, on similar terms, was like a blessing. In terms of it broke barriers, mental barriers for people. I mean, yes, it was a time which was very sad. People actually lost lives. But I think it was very important for people who had this tunnel vision कि भाई यही करना है. They actually got this time to, stop, sit down and understand कि यार, okay, there are other things in life that can be done.
Yeah.
I think so that's kind of a blessing somewhere.
Yeah.
Because it
No.
happened to, sorry.
No. Like I said, but I have a question for both of you, because I feel like you're asking me questions, but I have questions for you, because I am a journalist after all. No labels, but labels.
Your script kahan hai?
Yeah. No, but I think, how did you? I know that you've been this kid who's been here in Jalandhar studying,
Right.
and you
Right.
got into CrossFit slightly later in life, not
Right.
as a 10-year-old kid, as
Right.
most kids go into sport. How did
Right.
that happen? And how
So-
did this become your entire life?
तू रख ला.
I'll take this.
तू पछला सवाल. That's nice.
But I do want to know. I'm very curious. I've always wanted to know this.
So I think I was I always say this, I was a very sporty kid. So my parents were very, very straight in the sense that they didn't want me and my brother to be Vera.
Yeah.
They wanted
There you
us to
go.
be away from
There
that
you go.
label. They didn't want basically simple. They saw a lot of kids growing up and going on those gadies, burning fuel. They hated that concept
Yeah.
and they wanted us to have a very disciplined and very regimented life. So they put us into sport very early. So my brother, I think, started playing golf when he was probably 5 years old and I was 9.
Yeah.
Something like that. And it was like till grade 9 or 10, we would go every day to the golf course.
Yeah.
Be it sun, be it rain, be it winter, anything. Like 4:30 or 5 o'clock in the
Yeah.
summer, go in the sun, play, or it's cold, go play
Yeah.
and come back. And it was a routine. Like we did it for years. And then, so that, that discipline was always there.
Yeah.
And we genuinely enjoyed the sport. I think we gave up for different reasons. We didn't continue for
Yeah.
different reasons. But so I always knew that I was very active. Then I
Yeah.
sort of like took a back seat. When I went to school, I was like, oh, I'm not. When I went to Sanar, when I went to boarding school,
Yeah.
I was like, I'm not going to play sport. I'm going to like
Yeah.
chill a little bit in life, do all the girly things.
Yeah, just like
Uh,
have my nails. Don't need to like cut my nails.
Yeah, just have
yeah.
fun and like, eat what
Yeah,
I want to
yeah.
eat and like just, like I said, it was very regimented till grade 10 and then 11th and 12th, I let a little too loose, I
Yeah,
think.
yeah.
And then when I went, those 2 years, I ended up putting up a lot of weight
Yeah.
and I wanted to do something about it. So I started working out. I started going to the gym because I realized, okay, if you go to the gym, you lose weight.
Yeah.
Simple.
That's very like simple.
Simple,
yeah,
very
yeah.
simple. So I was like, okay, let's go to the gym. So I started going to the gym and I think towards college, I went to the UK also
Yeah.
to the University of
Yeah.
Nottingham. And that's when I realized I really enjoy going. Or even if I didn't enjoy, I would go at least like 4 days a week or
Yeah.
like 5 days a week. And like sometimes like put like Bollywood music and dance with my
Yeah.
like African friends.
Yeah.
They would love it. So I started doing something physically until I came back. And then I was just like, okay, now gym is happening. I also have a friend who I made friends with in the UK, Neha. She's a big influencer on Instagram
Yeah.
and a very reputed fitness coach. So she used to do CrossFit. She started doing CrossFit and
Yeah.
that's how I got to know about CrossFit. That, okay, this is CrossFit. It's like a very... what do you call like different sports come together and you get to do like these pull-ups and you get
Yeah.
to do like weightlifting and a lot of like different variations of exercises. So I was like, this is fun. I want to do this. And of course, this is the easiest way to look good.
Yeah.
So
okay.
the whole idea behind was it to like, okay, look great.
Yeah.
So I was driven by that fact. And then I was just like, okay, now how do I do CrossFit sitting in Jalandhar? I was working in Delhi, came
Yeah.
back. My parents were like, oh, now
So you found CrossFit in Delhi. You no.
I found CrossFit while I was in Delhi, but I
Yeah.
came back in Jalandhar.
And you're
I
like,
was
how do I continue?
how do I do?
Yeah.
I never started CrossFit in Delhi. So then I was just like, I came back to Jalandhar and I was like, okay, now I think it's time. Like, this is my calling. I really want to do this. How do I do this?
Yeah.
So then I don't know. I think my brother told me that there's weightlifting that happens in 2 places in Jalandhar. One is Guru Gobind Singh Stadium
Yeah.
and one is PAP.
Yeah.
Now all our lives we have spent in PAP playing golf.
Yeah.
And I was just like, okay, this is the easiest way. I'll just go to I'll tell my father I want to go and like he'll probably put in a request. And he was just like, okay, this girl is going mad.
We'll indulge her.
We'll maybe like, then I one day went with him and I was just like, I want to go, take me to the weightlifting, like the center.
Yeah.
So he took me and then he spoke to the coach. And initially nobody took me seriously. Like they were just like, of course, like this girl, like
this
who is
fancy
this girl?
kid comes
Fancy
in.
kid.
Yeah,
Like,
suddenly it's like मुझे weightlifting
weightlifting
करनी है.
सीखना है
हाँ.
मतलब ये तो 2 दिन भी नहीं रहेगी यहाँ पर.
yeah.
So like that typical mentality and also CrossFit has weightlifting in it, right? So I
Yeah.
was just like, weightlifting is the only bit I can
do. Yeah.
I can do. So I'll start weightlifting and learn a bit about it. And then I put a pull-up bar in my house. I put a pull-up bar in the backyard.
Yeah.
And I was like, here I'll do some gymnastics.
Yeah.
I'll do pull-ups here, learn how to do pull-ups here. And I actually ended up learning how to do weightlifting in PAP.
And pull-ups at home.
And pull-ups at home. So like it was a combination of these 2 things.
Yeah.
And then obviously I started getting better. The more time I put into it, I started getting better.
How old were you then?
I was probably like 22, 23.
That's so much drive for a 22-year-old. Just being like, yeah, I'm gonna do one thing here. Yeah.
Yeah,
But
so I
no,
would
go on,
just-
go on.
So I was like working with, like I was just getting into work. I didn't know like too much. Obviously, young kid, your parents are still
Yeah.
like easy with you. They're not like कि oh ऐसे ऐसे होता है. Of course, they gave me time to learn, and work wasn't hectic at all. Like I had like
Yeah.
literally, I would finish my work in like not even an hour.
Yeah,
so I
yeah,
would be
yeah.
just sitting, and I was like, now I don't need to sit here.
Yeah.
So I would do a morning session. I would do an evening session. Like I would do 2 sessions. Imagine the
love
amount of
that.
time I had.
Yeah.
So I had a lot of fun. And then, so I don't know if you know Jassa. You know Jassa, Jaskaran.
Yeah,
Have
yeah.
you seen him in, probably seen him in my videos.
I've
or-
seen him in your videos. Yeah.
Yeah.
He's very famous.
Huh?
He's famous.
Yeah.
right?
No, I've seen him in
Couldn't
your
have missed
videos.
him.
Yeah, yeah.
Couldn't have missed
So
him.
I suddenly found this guy who had the same weightlifting shoes as mine. Orange color, like Nike
Yeah.
Rumalius, they're called. And I was just like, okay, let me get in touch with him. And I was like, buddy, let's open a CrossFit gym.
And then
Random person,
Yeah.
I don't know him. He's like, oh, a great like lifting session,
Yeah.
whatever. And I was like, okay, I think you are very passionate about weightlifting and I'm very passionate. Let's open a gym. And he obviously didn't
was
really-
like, yeah,
whatever, such a weird girl, like randomly.
First thing she said, let's open a gym.
Yeah, let's open a gym. I was like, why would you open a gym with a random
Yeah.
person? And then about 6-7 months later, he's like, actually, I'm opening a CrossFit gym with another friend of mine.
Okay, which gym was this?
Inquilab.
Oh, no, wait. So you guys, I thought it's just the two of you who run Inquilab.
So
no.
Inquilab was run by
Jassa, me,
Yeah.
and
and
Vishwas.
Vishwas.
Really? Okay,
Yeah.
tell me the story. Yeah.
So then he's like, okay, we are opening a gym in
Yeah.
Jalandhar, and it's a CrossFit gym. Of course, I had known about it. Like I'd like
Yeah.
seen YouTube videos. I had visited many gyms, CrossFit gyms, and I was like, okay, theek hai, done. I was just like, he's like, okay, let's meet.
Yeah.
I will have a meeting and we'll discuss like how you can be a part of it and move forward. And I was like, yeah, okay. And he's
Yeah.
like, yeah, one of my like friends who's like a celebrity trainer, Siddharth, is also going to be there, and we'll meet whatever.
So is this when you moved to Jalandhar?
I had no plans to move to Jalandhar.
Okay.
This was just me coming here to open the gym, run it, and go back. Like
You're just
with
like, "Acha,
Jassa kind of
Huh.
handling everything.
You're just like, I'll
That was
come,
the plan.
set up,
and
And
go
go.
back.
and go back. Okay.
And then this meeting.
No,
happened.
so okay, so there. Okay. Would you mind if I move to the story now?
please, go
So
ahead.
Oh
okay,
my God,
gym
okay.
has been set. You've had this conversation.
We met.
You've met.
Yeah.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So now you are just like, okay, I have to come. I have to open this gym. Why did you stay?
Where did I stay?
Yeah. No, why did you stay?
Why did you stay?
Well-
Not because of me. Not because of me.
Okay, so what happened? Yeah.
So the initial plan was to come here, and we knew Jassa was very passionate about weightlifting,
Yeah.
and we were like, okay, home ground. Let's start off by opening a box here. We call it a box, CrossFit gym,
Yeah.
not a gym box. It looks like a
Yeah.
box. And me and Vishwas, we used to have endless sessions in our kitchen in Bombay. It was a small place. Like we had a whiteboard there. कि ऐसे
Yeah.
होगा, ऐसे ही equipment आएगा. Da. Talk to Jassa, like let's do it. Found a place. Now somewhere in my mind, I wanted a female trainer on our team.
Okay.
I was
You're like, yeah.
the dynamics just kind of balance out. We needed somebody, okay? And then Jassa said that, hey, there's this
Yeah.
girl called Vera Puri. She lifts in Jalandhar.
Yeah.
And I have had like conversations with her about CrossFit and her inclination towards opening a CrossFit box. And I was like, okay, contact her. Let's meet her if she wants to be one part of the team. And then that
So,
message
and
went
you-
viral.
I love it how everything is
Yeah.
happening. Like one person is actually preparing
Yeah.
for weightlifting, and these other people are like planning to open a gym.
Yeah.
And then how these people come together. It's like a movie.
No, it really is, because you're just like, you were sending this random ass message just being like, hey, let's open a gym to this boy who wears the same shoes as you, and you've been looking for like a female trainer.
Yeah.
Okay, so this happens, and then
This happens when we meet. I think we met at कहाँ मिले थे?
Nick
Yeah,
Baker's.
Nick Baker's.
yeah,
Nick Baker's
of
we
course,
met.
of course, Nick Baker's.
It was the only place that served breakfast.
Yeah.
And we wanted breakfast and we wanted healthy breakfast. So,
Yeah.
so obviously meeting has to be coupled with protein, obviously. You can't just have like
Yeah.
sandwich.
I mean,
right?
you guys have
It's like
CrossFit box.
it's like my protein window is but yeah, so we met and she was obviously very interested into doing this, and then things just kind of started unfolding.
Like
That
it was a very it was very like free
happened.
flowing. It
Yeah.
just happened. Like the first
There's
meeting
no-
was not even like a business meeting.
Yeah.
It was so chill,
fun.
and it was just like we just knew each other for the longest time ever,
Yeah.
and it was just like I fit into that team.
Yeah.
So it was fun.
Yeah, and then I mean, after this meeting,
Hmm.
she started training with us. We used to be at Guru Gobind Singh Stadium training there, so she used to come train with us, and simultaneously, we had found a place.
Yeah.
There was stuff happening there, like construction, XYZ,
Yeah.
equipment coming in, setting up, and then eventually we set it up. We started running it. 3 months passed by.
So you're just like, oh, is this my time to go back
It's like,
to Bombay?
it's like I need to be
All
here
my
for a
celebrities
longer
are
time.
waiting.
And then I just
And-
like extended, and here I am. It's been what, 5 years? 5+ years?
Yeah.
Crazy.
That's such a great story.
Yeah.
That's
It's
such a
very
great
cool,
story.
right?
Yeah. Did you ever okay, actually why is this turned?
It's like
just
I'm
Last
telling
question.
you.
Yeah.
Gurmehar. Last question.
Last
Okay.
question. You get one more question, okay?
No, because I don't want to take your time, but I'm so interested. But like, did you ever expect this to happen to you, Vera?
As
Or
in?
did you ever expect this to happen to you?
What?
Because like
Happen
you're
what?
someone who's like, I mean, I've done this, right? So I've, when you are from Jalandhar, there's like this whole idea about like leaving and having this big career in this like big
Right.
city like Delhi or Bombay.
Yeah, absolutely.
Right? But then to come back home and to find something that's so meaningful to the community around. Did you ever think that you would be the people who do that? I mean, you were abroad. You've been training like these
No.
massive ass
I don't think we
celebrities.
thought about this. No.
No.
No?
It's just that back then we were so passionate about CrossFit.
Yeah.
Like it didn't matter where we were, what part of India, मतलब कहीं भी हमें रख देते, we would have ended up doing CrossFit. Like
Yeah.
maybe, even if we didn't have equipment, we were still going to just do CrossFit. So that initially that passion just overtook like 1 or 2 years.
I think, yeah.
We didn't understand what's
True.
happening, and then
Yeah.
things like moved along well. People started coming in, appreciating.
Yeah.
We saw people not only change physically but mentally. They were like, you know what, we feel more confident.
Yeah.
Because I mean, our posture is better. We feel mentally more satisfied in life. We were like, okay, maybe we're kind of touching things that are
Yeah.
beyond physicality. So
Yeah.
okay,
Yeah.
and then things just kind of moved
Yeah,
forward.
I have one more question.
No, wait, no, don't.
No, I actually can I just do one more.
Sure.
Okay, is that okay? I promise it's my last one. Okay, we're not flipping this, but I feel like all podcasts should be like a free-flowing
Of course.
conversation,
Absolutely,
right?
absolutely.
So, but I do have another question. I know that, I know what gym culture in Jalandhar was before Inquilab started, and I think with Inquilab it has changed significantly. Because I would come back from my boarding school, Harvest, where we would train, and I'd always find gyms in Jalandhar just very, I don't know, like for women, very uncomfortable, right?
It's true.
Right.
And they were very uncomfortable. I'm not gonna lie. They were fairly expensive, fairly posh. You had like a sauna and like a steam room, and you had these beautiful machines, and you had like a dumbbell rack. The whole, and you had like these buff looking trainers, brilliant guys. I mean, no shade to anyone, but then it was always very unsafe for women. Was when you were starting Inquilab, was that a part of your I think, was that an intention to make it a space that is away from that kind of gym culture? And also maybe if you could talk about that culture as well. Okay.
I actually want to go to Fit Camp on this.
yeah, go for it.
So this is like, why is this coming up?
Okay,
No, but
wait.
No,
Well, okay, why are you nervous?
no, I'm not nervous. I'm just like,
You're
okay.
just like, okay, I
'Cause This
know.
is very interesting. I really
it
wanna
is
talk
a
about
very
Yeah.
interesting
But
question.
yeah, go for it.
So I remember actually being a part of that gym
Yeah.
culture and experiencing it, and this is
Yeah.
exactly the time. Just before I started weightlifting, I used to go to a gym in Jalandhar.
We're not going to name it, but we
We're
all
not
know
gonna-
which name gym it is.
I don't know whether you know that.
I think I do. Because there were only a few gyms around that time, na?
Possibly.
Yeah. Then
So
yeah.
So anyways, I went to this gym, and I mean, I think people are very sweet. Even Delhi gym culture is not.
No.
It's very uncomfortable.
Yeah.
Maybe it's a North India thing.
100%.
But yeah, it wasn't the most comfortable gym culture, and I tried to go at different times. And honestly, like morning time worked best for me, because that's when, like, because you go to work and
Yeah.
you just wanted to get it out of the way. It wasn't comfortable. I felt, people are like, now women are like really owning who they are, and things are different. Like I think 10 years back they were very different.
Yeah.
So
Significantly different.
I felt very uncomfortable, and I didn't feel like myself. Like I didn't feel like I could flow freely or be myself or look up, you know, because I could just see like people literally staring. And when you're like a somebody who's actually doing something, people, there are eyes on you. So then I felt uncomfortable, and I did realize at that point that this is a very uncomfortable environment for a lot of women, and it's just harder for them to actually go and work out even if they want to.
Yeah.
So then I also noticed like there are also just gyms for women, or women have specific hours, which I was very shocked about. Then I started an all-girls boot camp, which was inspired by somebody in Bombay doing these agility and, like these speed work classes on a turf somewhere in Bombay.
Yeah, I remember the ones you do on Instagram.
Yeah. And then I started like an all-girls boot camp, and I was like, and people like loved it. And within 6 months, Inquilab happened. So I remember like Sid and Jassa and Vishwas, 3 of them asking me like, should we have a separate time for women? I was like, I don't think so. I feel like we're equal here. Like, I think men and women can actually just be athletes or students coexist and be, you know, at the same level. Rather than just, if we create that bias now, it's always going to be like, this is like an hour for just women, so men get out. So there'll always be that, you know,
like,
that imbalance.
So also, I feel like, I mean, the moment you start segregating it, you know, it's like sort of like ignoring the more structural issues, right? Which are why are we sexualizing women's bodies in gyms? You know,
absolutely.
Athletes are athletes.
Yeah.
You know, when you are working with your body, your shots are going to run up. Like the gaze you have to neutralize that gaze, and I feel like as trainers, as people who are running in club, you guys have done it so well, because I keep seeing these videos, and so many women, so many of my friends are so comfortable being around, you know, their friends, men and women, in like their in their like athletic clothing, and working out and really enjoying it, and for the sake of working out. There's no, it's and not for necessarily vanity, but for like the joy of sport and the joy of being better. And I think there's something so special about that.
Right. So I think that's what.
I think that's something we accomplished.
We definitely like
then.
had that in our heads.
That we wanted to create, like she said, a space where everybody could feel comfortable and not feel like intimidated. Ke yaar, kahan aa gaye? You know? So I think we pretty much managed to, and are still managing to do that. I want to take you back to...
No, there are many questions to like
go through. You're just like, oh God.
But this is fun. I mean,
this is fun.
We don't mind at all.
I love this. Yeah.
Taking you back to tennis academy. Like, so how long were you here for in a conventional school?
Till grade 6.
Till grade 6, and then you moved on to?
I went to Harvest. So Harvest Tennis Academy in Jassawal.
Okay.
Yeah, so off some 50 kilometers out of, not 50, maybe some like 20, 30 kilometers out of Ludhiana. About an hour and a half of drive from Jalandhar. And we just lived there. It was the greatest thing ever. I started play. It was, okay, so here's... do I just go back to the beginning?
No, just
or
like,
do I just...
Okay,
how
please
was it
go
different?
back to the beginning.
I don't know, what do you want? Yeah.
When did you start tennis? Like, was it before going to...
Harvest? Fully. So it was... My mom got me these... So I was a very chubby, chunky kid. Okay? And I went to St. Joseph's Convent School, and we had these skirts. And what's this? What's the school clothing shop? Sungrace with the rainbow. So Sungrace would make these skirts by like age groups, right, in class. So suddenly I had reached a point where like my skirt had to be grade 7, but the length was also till like a lehenga. And my mom was just like, oh God, this is a bit of a problem. So she sent me to Cambridge to like start playing tennis. She's like, okay, just go. You know, just like play something. And anyway, we would go to Kant for summer camp. My dad was in the army, and we spent a lot of time in cantonment because a lot of my mom's friends were there. So all evenings were spent there. And then Bani, my younger sister, who's explicitly asked me not to talk about her.
Hi, Bani.
Hi, Bani.
Bani said not to name her?
Yeah, Bani said not
Bani.
to name her. Bani.
Bani said that.
Yeah, Bani said that.
Bani.
Yeah.
Oh, Bani.
Okay. So he explicitly said not to name her, but I'm only complimenting her, so I guess it's fine. And we're all friends here, right? It's all, of course, it's going to go out to the world, but well. So Bani was the star. She's
Okay.
like, so we're both, I'm playing tennis because I'm like this little chunky kid and I need to like be active. And my mom's it's also quite concerned about my health. And Bani's like this superstar.
Okay.
At 6 years old, 7 years old, she's like a dream with a tennis racket, beating like women, not women, but like girls who are 14 years of age.
Wow.
It's and all the coaches in the summer camp were just like, who is this kid? This scrawny kid, with a racket. She does not leave a ball. She's so talented, completely gets it. And then all the coaches are just like, we're going to turn her into like the best athlete ever because she has so much potential. And then there's me, and I'm just like, well, okay, I'm also going to lose some weight.
Excuse me.
Yeah, I'm also gonna, so wherever Bani goes, I would go. Usually it's the other way around, where like the elder sister goes, the
Right.
younger
Yeah.
goes. But I was just like, yeah, if Bani's training, I'm gonna start playing as well. But as it happened, like, and I feel like it was so good because I was always chasing her, right? And she was like increasingly better and better and better. And when you're like chasing someone who's like better than you also get
You
better
can't
than
do
like
it.
your own expectations.
Yeah.
Right. right.
Initially, I lost the weight, which is very easy, right? Once you start playing, especially when you're a kid. But then, like, suddenly I was more competitive, and I wanted to train better, and I wanted to find out a way. I also hated school. Absolutely hated
Even
it.
I hated school.
Terrible. I still think it's the biggest punishment you can like do to a child. And I went to Oxford University, guys, by the way. So if anyone's going to, and I know you asked the question, what's your controversial opinion? I think my controversial opinion is this, is that the field that I am in, which is academia, writing, I will always say I hated going to school. I hated the
Environment.
monotony of it. Yeah.
Right.
And then I was like, if I do better in tennis, I get to
Avoid school.
avoid school. So I started doing better. And then we got to a point where training in Jalandhar was quite limited.
Okay.
And like it is with gym culture, I think even with like training, the culture sort of, and I don't want to talk more about it, quite controversial. But even training culture here was sort of dwindling, and we saw some unsavory things happening
Right.
in those academies. And my mom decided the best thing for us to do is be away, be in a boarding school, train there. And we were quite fortunate because it was in Punjab, both me and my sister were in the Punjab team. We were quite young to be in the women's team. So the tennis academy people were quite nice and were very generous with partial scholarships. So we were able to afford it and go there. And tennis academy was where I like turned into who I am today. We would wake up every day, 5 o'clock, 5:25 is the bus to like the courts, 5:45 is warm up, 6 o'clock is training 1, 7:30 is breakfast, 8:15 is training 2, 8:15 to 9:15, 10 o'clock is like when you go to school, 2 o'clock is when you come back, 3:15 is warm up for evening session. After warm up, there's another training session. It could be a private session, it could be a fitness session, it could be a physio session, and then by like 6:30 you would end. 7 o'clock you're having dinner.
Right.
After that, you've got like 1 hour of prep, which is you have to do homework because
Right.
we were kids, and then you go to sleep 9 o'clock. And I did that for 8 years.
Wow.
Yeah, it's the same routine. I remember it. So I did that for 8 years.
Sounds like a dream life.
Yeah.
Such a dream life. Yeah,
So
such a dream
segmented.
life.
Nice.
And I feel like I try to incorporate it still. But yeah, I think tennis completely changed. I wouldn't say changed my life because there's nothing to change, but I think shaped how I look at life.
Right.
Yeah, I don't think I would be the person. I would have the discipline, the passion, the sort of skills, like life skills to have to do what I'm doing now. And I know a lot of, especially in India, there is this culture of sports being a separate thing and study being
Agreed.
a separate thing. There's
Right.
like, if you're in sports, you're dumb. But
But
if you're
if
in studies, there's always
And also, like,
Yeah.
studies is given a higher, especially while we were growing up.
Yeah.
Like, if you were a very brilliant kid,
yeah,
okay, you're intelligent. If you're a sporty kid,
you're dumb.
you're dumb.
Yeah.
So that was there. Like, I feel like I really relate to you because
Yeah.
I feel like even for me, it was very similar, very regimented. Not as like in terms of sport, but
Yeah.
like we did have that same
Yeah.
routine every day. I also always ran behind my younger
Yeah,
brother.
yeah.
Because I was like, okay, like he's good. Let me just
follow.
Let me just
Yeah, yeah.
follow. Let me let him do the work.
Yeah.
I'll just follow him and be
Yeah.
this chumchi.
Yeah.
Yeah, which was quite funny. But
And then you'd end up being better because they are so good.
Yeah.
They're
Yeah.
just like
It's true.
yeah.
just so good.
Yeah.
It's like when you're chasing and Bani, when she was when she was younger and competing, she was one of the best in the country. So like when you're
Wow.
chasing one of the best in the country,
Right.
top like 20 in the nation. That's her like official rank.
Wow.
Quite literally one of the best.
Wow.
When you're chasing one of the best in the country in your age group, and that's your sister, it's like you're going to have to push yourself beyond what you've thought anyway.
Absolutely.
So I think that helped me quite a bit. And I think the skills you pick up on the way, especially doing a sport, nothing else. I mean, there's nothing in the world that can teach you that. There's no amount of like life coaching, no amount of manifestation, no amount of self-help books that will teach you what you learn as a child, like playing and competing in a sport. And like I was saying, a lot of people think that to be successful in life, you need to have strong intellectual foundation and you have to be good in studies and only then you're going to be successful. And if you don't have there's always this conversation कि 10th की बस अब base बना लो.
हाँ.
Base बना लो. अब
True.
बस ये 10th का base बना लो और 8th का base बना लो. Science
Base
ले
ही
लो.
बनाते रहते
Base
हैं.
ही बना, and I'm just like and then you'll be fine in life. Then it'll be easy. And I mean I can be here and I truly think I'm testament to the fact that I had no base. I didn't take 10th standard seriously. What I did do was I was very disciplined. I was very curious. I read a lot of books in my own time. I watched a lot of documentaries as a kid, especially when we were waiting for tennis matches. And you know how it is in competitions. There's like a draw and you're meant to play sometime, but there are only limited coaches, limited courts.
Courts, yeah. So you have to wait.
So you have to wait. So there's a lot of waiting.
Yeah.
And because there's a lot of waiting, and you're competing with everyone in the room, all their parents and all their coaches, you don't necessarily want to talk to them.
Correct.
Right? Because sometimes you don't want anyone to feed anything into your brain. So and for me, I never quite liked music because music also was...
It made you hyper.
It made me hyper and it was always in my head.
Right.
And you don't want a song stuck in your head when you're going
Right.
on court. So tons of things for me. I would just read books. I'd read like romance novels. I'd read anything that was on the shelves.
Right.
Wow.
Just anything. Self-help books. Secret also I've read. I've read like classics, Jane Austen. Because it was
Right.
the best way to like be quiet, be entertained, and go into your matches while you're waiting. And because I was reading everything that was on the shelves and I didn't have when Flipkart wasn't there,
Right.
Amazon wasn't
Wasn't
there.
there.
So you just walked into the shop and got what you got.
Absolutely.
Right? You
yeah.
didn't have the
Yeah, you
choice
didn't have
of
this-
going to genres, right?
Right,
Yeah.
right. That's right.
Yeah. And then I turned and it just gave me a wider view of the world, which I now use when I'm, either writing or reporting or thinking about politics or strategizing campaigns, which I did for like a year back then. And all of it comes from just like the discipline of sport. It wouldn't have come had I been in school. Had I been in school, I probably would have had like no spirit. I'd just be like, you've killed my spirit. I don't want to study anymore.
I think also we went to
Yeah.
the same school.
St. Joseph's.
So I feel like it was I keep telling
Yeah.
Sid about how it scarred me. I don't know. I don't know if I should be saying this, but like it took a lot out of me. I had to really, erase everything after I was 16, like to actually be the person I am, because I was not brilliant in school. Like I was very good at sport, but I was not brilliant in
And
school.
it's not a school that like supports you if you're not brilliant.
Yeah.
It's that culture that truly berates you if you're not brilliant. So I know completely because I wasn't either.
Yeah. So I wasn't like it. And I always heard that, people who are not brilliant are not going to make You know, it
Yeah.
was that environment which always told you that only people who top the class are going to be really successful and they're going to make great careers.
Yeah.
But people like you, who would be called out, would not do great. So that obviously like really had an impact. I also became very like submissive, very quiet. You know, it was hard. I think being a teenager was hard because like you're going through multiple changes. Now, if I look back at myself, I think I was very brave to actually get out of that. And I'm very happy,
Yeah.
truly happy for the person I am today, because I know that it sort of like takes
Yeah.
like
And I feel like it's not just, and I feel like it's like the culture of that space, right? Because the teachers are sort of calling you out and have been calling you out, because they did that with me for like all these years. You never really change class, and suddenly like there was this of all the brilliant girls, or like all the brilliant like students will now think you're like bait for bullying,
Yeah.
or like social ostracization.
Absolutely.
Would not be friends with you because you're not smart
like,
enough. You won't be invited to parties,
yeah,
birthday
people
parties.
would not be
Yeah.
be friends with you.
Because you're not intelligent, quote
Because you're
unquote.
not intelligent.
Yeah.
I've told Sid this story. I'm saying it on camera
Yeah.
today. Which actually, like, I was just like, you will, like, teachers actually telling me what bra is right for you. I was just like, I'm a 16-year-old girl feeling very uncomfortable with my body. Like, I don't know why am I looking like this suddenly.
Yeah.
And you're telling me that you're not wearing the right clothing and you're looking vulgar. A 16-year-old doesn't want to
Yeah,
be
look vulgar.
enticing anybody.
Exactly,
Right?
yeah.
Like, so like that really had a impact on me. And I think... like it was not a good environment. It
Yeah.
was right. I don't have good memories about school.
Yeah.
So I never actually go back to
Yeah.
talking about it too much, because like when I went to boarding school, that's when my horizons opened and people were just so relaxed and chill, and they were just like very kind, and they were so accepting of
Yeah.
who I truly was.
Yeah.
So I feel like that's when I actually grew as a person, and I'm very grateful that I actually made such wonderful friends
Yeah.
who were okay with how I was.
I mean, and that's so true. I think that body shaming was so real.
It was.
I feel like people just I don't know. I feel like people just don't talk, and I feel like it's not just necessarily our school, right? So many schools in
many
India
schools.
will body shame, and it's not necessarily body shaming in the sense that you're fat, you're thin, but it's like sexualizing a young girl's body.
Yeah.
Why is your skirt so tiny? Why is it like not up till the knee? And then being punishing and punishing the kid for it. And often punishing is not just will write a note in your diary and make sure it's social shaming. It is slut shaming without saying the word. And this happened to me in school as well. We had this. I don't know if you were in school during that year when we had a 50-year anniversary celebration.
I think I passed out probably.
yeah.
What year was this?
This was I was maybe in grade 4 or 5 or grade 6, so I'm not sure. But we had like this
50. There was a huge
celebration.
Yes.
And we were practicing, and I was like doing some Cinderella role or something, and we were practicing. And this is 5th standard, so 4th standard. So I'm 10 years old, right? Barely 10, just a bit chubby, right? And we were practicing in the stadium. And my mom would like dress me in these really cute like denim skirts and like halter neck tops that my masi would send from Bombay. These very cute clothes. So my mom would like dress me up, and I went in wearing like a mini skirt and these like pink boots. And a teacher called me out, and like we're in a group of teachers, we're just like, इनकी माँ इनको सिखाती नहीं है, ऐसे कपड़े पहन के बाहर थोड़ी जाते हैं. And I'm just like, and at that point I felt like I was doing something terrible. Maybe oh my God, why am I wearing such a short skirt? And suddenly, like now when I look back to that memory, I'm just like, why are you sexualizing a 10-year-old's body?
Right.
A 10-year-old child.
Yeah.
I'm years from getting my first period. I'm years from hitting puberty. I'm a kid. I can wear what I want. But
Right.
why are you sitting in a group and sexualizing my body like that? So I completely feel you. The whole
Yeah.
situation with like sort of like seeing if your shirt is transparent enough or not and checking your bra. All of that. It's really, and I think maybe it was because it was an all-girls school. I guess it was a bit more freehand with how you're going to treat girls because there are no boys around.
Right.
I don't know. I'm not sure, but quite traumatic. I completely feel you.
It was
Yeah.
something, and then like I think it took some time to. Now that I think about it, it was not a very nice thing to do
To a child.
to a young kid.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's so terrible. Sorry, Sid. I know this turned
No
into like a
worries.
full rant.
No, what? No, I
Yeah,
know. But
I'm
that's
so
fine.
sorry about this.
But these are things that exist in the society, and
Yeah.
somebody has to talk about them, right? And I'm glad you guys are. I'm glad you guys are open about talking about them. But what I saw in my observation sitting here is like the common thread of sport, how it kind of got you out to where you are right now.
Yeah.
Tennis for you, golf / weightlifting / exercising for you. So I think physical activity, talking about like, is very important in
The
terms
most
of
important.
like, you know.
Yeah. It's sort of like, I think in that space and time, it sort of like shuts you from all the noise around and it makes you feel.
It's like
Yeah.
it's like meditation.
It's like
almost.
meditation.
So
Yeah.
like how long were you in the academy, and after that did you still pursue tennis?
Yeah, so I played in like LSR. I competed in college, and then I played for the Blues in Oxford.
Oh nice.
Yeah.
Oh, nice.
But but like you said, the noise. I remember a lot of people ask me, they're just like, you're 19 years old. The entire country is like hating you. I mean, not the entire, there was section those supporting me as well. But it's quite, there's so many people. They're like WhatsApp forwards about you. People are digging into your past. People are talking about this and they're saying that. And it's on the cover page. I remember I was in Jalandhar. I come back from Delhi, and my mom was sitting there, and we always like, it's a habit, we look at like newspapers every morning, and suddenly we have like these 5 subscriptions. All of them are front pages my face, and we turn on the TV. Every news channel is like my face. So the noise was that like big, and it wasn't necessarily positive. It was just like questioning like my morality and my ethics. And first I'm just like, I will still never understand why talking about peace is like morally terrible. Never will understand it. Didn't understand it then. But I think that kind of noise and that kind of almost bullying from people you've looked up to for so long can really shut a child down. And I don't necessarily think at 19 anyone is an adult. Truly, you're still like a teen.
Absolutely not.
Not
Yeah,
Yeah,
you're a kid.
You're a kid, right?
Yeah.
And I think the only way I could have handled it is like suddenly my brain went into like a switch mode. Because when we would compete and we'd play the play nationals, and especially competing for the state, the cheering was very terrible. So it's like the opposite team would actually cheer, like do anti-cheering.
Right,
So
right,
you
right,
lose,
right.
especially when you're competing against, representing your state and competing against the other state. And there were no rules. So a lot of that happened. But in those moments, I'd been so trained to just like shut down the noise, look at my strings, look at the ball, focus on the sound of like the tapping, focus just on what's in my head. And because I'd practiced shutting down noise and practiced shutting down the noise of my own head, and just being like, okay, I'm just going to focus on like this one ball in front of me. That's the only thing I care about. I don't care about the previous point. I don't care about the future point. I don't care about the next shot. The only thing I care about is like this neon green ball, and I'm going to chase it down wherever it goes. Right? And because I'd done it so many times over and over again for the past 8 years, I was very simple. I was just like, I'm going to shut off the noise. This is just like terrible cheering. I've heard this before. I've done it before. Haryana has done it to Punjab once before when we were competing. Can't be bad. And then I shut it all down, and I'm just like, there's one neon ball. I'm just going to focus on it. I'm not going to think about yesterday. I'm not going to think about the future. I was like, what is the neon ball? I'm just like, I'm very clear about where my ideas originate from, and I'm just going to focus on it. I'm going to believe in it. So I sort of like almost just put all of that focus into it. And I think the moment I did that, and the fact that I've been able to do it consistently, was the only reason I was able to save myself from so much noise. Because that's a lot of noise. And I think if you're not someone who has that ability of like cutting down noise that comes via playing a sport for all these years growing up, I don't think you'd be able to do it. I don't think I'd be able to survive it.
Agreed.
I think I'd be a completely yeah, I don't think I would have. I probably would have killed myself. I don't know, trigger warning. But probably would have. Yeah, if like 10 million people are saying you're like the worst person ever.
I mean, I think it's hard, especially at that
Yeah.
age when you're 19 years old.
Yeah.
It's too much talking from the outside world to take in. And I also feel like, yes, that like sport helps.
Yeah.
But also I feel like it's the hours of training and the hours of, if somebody, you're absolutely right, if somebody who's never played a sport or not understood what it feels like to be in that, or to be actually taking out the cutting out noise
Yeah.
from that actual moment,
Yeah.
it's hard.
Yeah.
It's absolutely hard.
I think it's a skill that
Yeah.
everybody should develop. I could actually picture the racket and
Yeah,
neon
same.
ball
Yeah.
and the
In my
court
head.
and tuck, tuck, tuck.
Tuck.
Yeah.
I think it's an ability that everybody should have, because
Yeah.
sometimes you just need to shut down. You
Yeah.
know, just like don't give an F about anything and just like tunnel vision. But that being said, like, I mean, did you expect things to escalate the way they
They
escalated?
did.
No,
You just
Never. I mean, at 19, you're such an idiot anyway, right?
Were you in college that
I
time?
was in college.
You were in LSR.
It was my first year of college.
Okay.
And it was my 6th month of college.
Wow.
And out of that, 2 months I had chikungunya, so I was out. So I was just like, okay. So I'm only just beginning to like get my feet in Delhi.
Mm.
Right.
First time out of Punjab. First time out of Jalandhar, living in like my own big
Cushion
city.
and big city.
Yeah. Do you know what I'm saying? Out of the cushion,
Yeah.
making friends. Suddenly, all the girls that I was surrounded with are friends and are not like people I'm going to compete on the court tomorrow. So there was a lot of like newer things.
different
environment.
Different. And then you
environment.
were intellectually, also it was fresh because it wasn't like school. Suddenly, you have to submit an essay. What will you submit an essay on? You decide. And I was like, oh wait, I can decide? and my course is me reading books and having opinions on it. What?
Right.
I have so many
Love
and
it.
even love it. I was just completely enjoying it. And I was just like, and at 19 you think the world is your oyster because you've just come out of your little, space of being a kid and you want to explore everything. And I did that. And at 19, who expects to, do you know what I'm saying? Expects like their idealistic thoughts and feelings and opinions to
Right.
become like a topic of a national debate.
Absolutely.
Yeah, so I didn't.
You didn't expect it.
Not at
Did
all.
this happened over time, or was it like, boom?
I think I got into activism over time, like peace activism over time. I started when I was 16. Then I did a campaign with this wonderful filmmaker and an advertiser, Ram Subramaniam, an activist who worked extensively with the Aam Aadmi Party back in the day during the anti-corruption movement. Did a campaign with him and then went to college. And DU is a place that is very like political, right?
Of course.
And it's very like exciting and it's very fun, especially when you're a young kid. It
Young.
doesn't matter what political ideology you're a part of.
Right.
But you are very, you're very
You're in-
passionate and drawn to it.
Right.
In fact, like somebody was saying the other day, they're like, oh, so what is Bani doing? Bani.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Bani.
Bani. They're just like, what is Bani doing these days? And I was like, yeah, she's turned into like this, she's living at home, living her best life, loves like new clothes and skin and like is really focused on like doing her, corporate job, all of that. And they were like, yeah, dude, wasn't she like such a Marxist in college? I can't
Okay.
imagine her being, working in corporate and enjoying it. And
Being a capitalist.
being
and-
capitalist, but that's the thing, right? In
Yeah.
college, like you're
Yeah.
so
So
driven,
different, yeah.
Yeah.
right? And of course, you still hold on to those values, but then you come into the real world and you have to make rent, whatever that is. But in college, you're just so passionate.
You're experimenting.
You're experimenting. You're
Right.
learning.
Yeah.
You're just, you learn about something and you like chase it down because you're
Right.
young and it's
and you're truly understanding
Yeah.
who you are and what you
Yeah.
want to be and what you're like inclined towards.
inclined towards, where on the political spectrum you might be, and that changes all the time. That doesn't necessarily change in college, but even as we grow old,
Absolutely.
we're
It's dynamic.
constantly
Yeah.
it's dynamic, right?
I think it should change as well. Like, it shouldn't be like.
It shouldn't be, yeah.
I think
And
that's kind of
yeah, because
scary and
it's
dangerous.
scary. It's polarizing. You know, we should be open to ideas and
it's-
should be open to shift and change.
Mm.
But yeah, so I think. Sorry, what was your question?
So it's activism.
Yeah,
like it
activism,
started
yeah.
like it took time.
Oh,
to
it took
kind of,
yeah. So it took time, but yeah, it took time, and then when and then I went to college and became a part of student activism there. Started going to protests, and then suddenly this protest happened, and yeah, and
And after this escalation, like
it just blew up.
how were things around you, like in terms of family, obviously supportive, friends who were friends who you didn't have to compete with, were they still friends or were they like looking at you in
No,
a
my
different
tennis,
light?
no, my tennis academy girls though fully went against me.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, like
that's surprising.
completely.
Wow.
Because I think that anyway, I feel like when you're in a competitive sport, there's anyway
Yeah.
a sense of like dislike. And you can't really blame people, right? You're children, you're competing against each other. There's
You don't
like-
know better.
You don't know better. I mean, but this person was quite old. One of the best athletes in the world, in the country,
Oh,
back then. And then like completely goes on sharing these fake news things about me. And I was just sitting there and I was like, we shared a room for 3 years. We had every meal together for 3 years. I get that you may not agree with it.
but there was no conversation with you regarding
No,
this. It was
none.
just like
No.
an opinion was formulated.
Just like she's this girl and she's that girl. I have always known this about her. And I found it quite strange. And similarly, there was definitely more. But I also made friends.
Mhm.
I think I made friends within college who are still my friends.
Beautiful.
Because it was the first 6 months of college. You know, you're hanging out with people. They're newer friendships. You're hanging out in a group. But I think when your friendships are passed through those tests, and all of my friends like completely stood with me, commenting back, hating on all the trolls back,
Nice.
and just being like, how dare you say it. My best friend Urvi stuck by me, has always stuck by me till date. So I think that test of like friendship really happened then.
Right. It was like
It was, yeah. So I
all
think
black and white. There
it
was
wasn't,
no like
yeah.
no gray areas.
It was no neutral. There was no neutral. It was just like, you're my friend, and if we've passed through that and you've stood by me without shaking once, without like doubting me, then we're all still friends. And the people who weren't, I'm not friends with them. I still stalk them sometimes on social media.
Well.
I'm just like, what are you doing? Let's see. You hater. Not bigger than pettiness. Little pettiness is healthy, I think.
I think balance, right? Remember?
Yeah,
There has to be
balance.
you can't be like too nice or
Yeah,
too
yeah.
bad.
So I want to ask you, Gurmehar, basically when you're 19, you're very, like I lived in a very idealistic world where everything was perfect. There are no bad people, everything is good, things can never go against you or turn against you. And honestly, like I still sometimes feel very, like when I actually see somebody doing something really bad, I feel very sad. Like actually saddens me, and like even when I read news, sometimes I have to block it because I really truly get affected by it. So as a 19-year-old, like how did you feel? Because it's too much to take on. It's a lot of pressure. It's a lot of like I'm sure like there were people behind your back, your mom, your folks, but
I honestly don't know how it felt at that point because I feel like my brain just blocked it. So many people have asked me, I've asked myself, and I think I know I have a lot of clarity of afters. But like I said, I was so focused on that like yellow ball that I don't remember anything else. I actually really don't, and I wish I had some. I have all this like yarn about other things. I wish I had something to say about this on how I felt at that point. I just don't. I really don't. I have lots of feelings about many other things, and I'm very happy to share them. But like this, but I don't remember. I really, truly don't. And maybe it's like good that my brain's blocked it.
I think
It's a good
I think it's a
thing,
very
yeah.
good thing.
Maybe it's just like, yeah, I don't want you to know how you felt then.
yeah.
And maybe I just didn't even feel anything because I was so focused. Who knows? But I had no feelings in that moment. I had lots of feelings after, but I was just dealing with life, newfound like sudden fame and popularity. Because like once you go through like the bad days, then like the little little insects also start coming out of the woodworks
Right.
and start becoming your best friends. So sort of dealing with that, especially
Right.
when you're 19, you don't know better from like good people to bad people,
Right.
people who are going to use you for who you are, people who truly believe you, people who are only giving you muska to just sort of like piggyback off your newfound popularity, whatever that
Right.
might be. I mean,
Right.
do you know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
So I think a lot of like lessons there, but that particular moment I remember.
I think
Yeah.
it's good to understand. It's important to understand that where we are today is because of our past experiences. But at the same time, you don't have to like
Dig
it's
into
done,
the-
right?
yeah, it's done.
Ho gaya, ab
Yeah.
khatam. Like
Yeah, that point
we're
is
here
over.
now.
Over.
It's
Huh.
like
Yeah.
the ball
Yeah.
is here now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Last match doesn't matter.
Doesn't matter.
Doesn't matter.
It doesn't matter whether you lost or you won, but
Yeah.
you're here now.
Yeah.
I think it's even like looking forward in terms of the future doesn't really make sense because we don't know what's going to happen in the future. Planning is fine, but I think the moment is much more. I think it should be savored more
Absolutely.
rather than just like आगे क्या होगा पीछे क्या हो गया
Yeah.
hey मर गए things like that.
Yeah, that's
think
so
it's-
true. Because the past isn't tangible, neither is the future. The only thing that's actually existing is
Is
like
the
what's
present.
right now.
Yeah.
It is the only true thing. Everything else is just like imagination.
Yes.
As good as a fiction book.
Yes, I could have done this better. Oh, I should
should
not
have.
have done.
Yeah.
Matlab that this is a never.
Unless-
this is an open-ended question which you can never answer.
Unless like Elon Musk does this thing where like we can go into like parallel realities. I don't know, who knows. Then maybe we can have this conversation. But other than that, it's
Yeah,
just
makes
this is
sense.
all we've got, right?
I think
Yeah.
we'll let Elon
Yeah.
get to that. And
Yeah.
then,
Yeah, oh god. Oh god. No, I don't know.
I'm
I'm gonna put
really
any-
hoping he does not.
yeah. I'm just kind of regretting putting ideas out in the universe.
Elon, if you're listening.
Don't.
Nice. So, after Delhi, there was a new chapter in your life, which
Yeah.
was you moved to the UK, Oxford, studying there.
Yeah.
And from a person who didn't want to study, you're now in Oxford. Like, how did things change? Like,
I don't know.
this
That's
new life.
It's very funny because like my mom still doesn't believe it. Like she still doesn't believe it. Like imagine like being a single mother, and I feel for her,
Mhm.
and I'm just like, ma, this is just for you. I've such done whatever.
Huh.
But like her being a single mother of these two girls.
Hmm.
One, you're like, because I mean, you know how society is, right? The only purpose, especially today, we're having these conversations where we're like, women should be doing more than just getting married, and like
Right.
colorism, and we're being more aware of it. But this is a very recent conversation.
Hmm.
When I was 10 years old, 12 years old, starting to play tennis, these weren't like actual.
Of
these
course,
were
of course
conversations
not.
in like Delhi,
Books.
very elite circles, in books, but
Yeah.
not in like Jalandhar. So my mom did get to hear a whole bunch of like, your two
Tanas.
girls tanning, so
अच्छा.
dark. एक ही तो काम है, शादी करानी है, वो भी नहीं कर रहे. चलो
अच्छा.
टैनिंग हो गई. अच्छा, पर स्कूल से भी निकाल दिया. अच्छा, पढ़ाई भी नहीं करा
सारे
रहे.
boxes tick हो रहे हैं.
Yeah, so it's like अच्छा, दो लड़कियां हैं. चलो टैनिंग होगी, स्पोर्ट्स हो गया, टैन तो ब्लीच करके निकाल देंगे. So these things स्कूल से भी निकाल दिया, पढ़ भी नहीं रही.
हाँ.
So there was a lot of like speculation around that, and a lot of like judgment that she had to face. Anyway, it's hard to be a single parent and a single woman living in a life, especially when it is about dealing with the society.
Yeah.
But yeah, she did it, and then she is now the most surprised. She's like, I honestly, truly never thought that out of all the people in the world, you would be the one who'd go into like academia,
Yeah.
or you would be the one to go into like smart people things. So I think it's all for her. But yeah, but how was it? I think I loved it. I loved
Yeah.
it because here's another thing. I think with and I think this is maybe a comment on like the education system we follow here, or and maybe and I see that changing. But I think even in college in Delhi in LSR, which is DU is quite literally
Yeah.
the pinnacle of like undergraduate
Right.
education in India.
Right.
But I think one of the reason why it is, especially for my subject, which is literature, was the pinnacle of the best education was because we had so much freedom to really pursue the topic we wanted to
Okay.
and the field we wanted to. We had options to decide what subjects we're taking. And we had professors who would let us write essays on what we wanted to write about. And if you're someone who's curious and who's interested, who likes writing, who likes like the researching and finding evidence and all of those exciting things, whenever I go into an essay, I just go into thinking I'm like Sherlock Holmes, and this is like a case, and this is a question, and I need to find an answer, and I have to have evidence for everything. So I need to like go into these maps of. In my head, it's a game, right?
Right.
Which is why I love doing it, and I love doing that in Oxford as well. So for me, I think education went from being math class, tuition, math class, English class, Hindi class, Punjabi class, PT period. Grades, test. Number nahi aaye, number aa gaye, kitni buddu ho, kitni buddu nahi ho. To suddenly just like finding like a Sherlock Holmes style game of just like exploring the world and learning the world and writing about it was so brilliant. So brilliant to have that freedom.
Nice.
And I think I'm very glad that my mom had like put enough trust in me and my like natural curiosity to be like, "Ye kar legi kuch na kuch," and I did
I
it.
think she gave you the benefit of doubt.
Benefit of doubt, which is quite nice.
Which is quite nice.
Yeah.
I think it's important.
It's important. Yeah.
It's kind of like also an assurance that your parents believe in you.
Yeah.
Like, acha, I'm being given the free, कि चलो करो जो
Also
करना.
gives you responsibility.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
I mean, you would know this, right? Because you're just, your parents are like, okay, do this. And you're just like, oh, wow, it's freedom, but I also have to be responsible
I have
now.
to make sure that I actually meet up the expectations, or not
Yeah.
really expectations,
Your
but
own
like,
expectations.
Yeah,
With the
correct.
promise, because I feel like that freedom comes in exchange of something, right?
Right, absolutely.
And it's like, okay, I trust you. And you're just like, I want to match up to that trust.
Right, absolutely.
Right?
Yeah.
Not expectations, maybe.
But
That trust.
trust,
So I think you do that.
Yeah.
It's very instinctive. I don't think... I think like helicopter parenting would have maybe not worked for me.
Probably.
Yeah.
I don't think it works for anybody.
Yeah.
Just saying. But like you were in the UK, you loved it. Why did you come back to India? Why not just live there?
I mean... I don't know. I don't think... I've thought about it, and a lot of people ask me this question, especially with... the political environment now, the things I faced in the past. I don't know. I just want to be here. I just don't see a life outside. Not for me. I just don't see a purpose outside. I think maybe, and I often think about it because when I came back from the UK, especially after COVID, I was so severely depressed. I don't know if you guys ever saw me from like Inquilab, like punching the boxing bag ever.
No.
But I was just like doing that all the time on my terrace because I was just so upset.
Oh, that was you?
That was me. But like, do you know what I'm saying?
We could hear things.
But just lots of anger and just lots of depression. And I think a part of that was because I just didn't feel. I guess I just didn't have any purpose in the UK. There was nothing I could give back.
Okay.
Like, what am I going to give back to the country, to that country, right? I'm sure there was a lot to take. The joys of being in the UK, great coffee, a part to run, being able to like live the great life, shopping, the whole thing.
Yeah.
There's like,
but how much of that can you do?
There's a lot to take. And
Right.
it's quite fun. But I think the part of me was just like, but what am I giving back to society? And I think there was also this thing that, of course, there's a promise that I made back when I was very young, which is that I want to give back to my country, in whatever way that might be. Whether it's social work, whether it is writing, could be anything. But I think that's also just like what drives me. I also can't be away from India. I just don't have an identity beyond it, if that makes sense. And I think a lot of people, I don't know, I've been called like the biggest anti-national ever, but I truly just love it here. I just don't see any place that's better than here.
Agreed.
or any other place where I like find purpose. It's also because I'm a patriot. I've grown up with like the stories of my dad and his sacrifice and the fact that we have to live up to that sacrifice. And also when you're an athlete, what's the greatest thing you can do as an athlete? It's like, I want to represent my country.
Yep.
Right.
Right? It's like that's it. That's where it like, yeah. Once you've done that,
Yeah.
it's everything you aspire to. So I think that I carry that aspiration with me. So being in the UK was fun,
But that's
but like
Just
it
fun.
wasn't. It was fun, and yeah. If I want to have fun, there's always the summer, no? The flights, yeah. Just get a visa, get a
Yeah,
flight,
yeah.
go for there's Airbnbs now.
Yeah. Of
Yeah,
course.
go for the summer, have fun, but like work is here, like
Right,
life is
right,
here.
right.
This is what I aspire to. But yeah, not the UK. So I came back.
Mhm.
Also, the farmers' protests were happening,
Yeah.
and I felt a lot of. I felt I had to be back home.
Right. Kind
Yeah.
of had like a, you know,
Yeah.
an internal voice saying that you need to get back. And
I just knew. I think that was the moment that I knew I had to be back, because it wasn't just like it wasn't just about like protests in India, which I would want to come back as well, right? Which I've been a part of for so long, but it was suddenly that protest was so close to home,
Yeah.
right? So close to home. My friends, people I grew up with. All of their lives, their livelihood, everyone had like left everything and like gone to the the Delhi borders. People that we know,
Right.
right? Everyone, and this is my community, my people, and I feel like if I just had to go back home, I had too much of like fun. You can't just have too much fun. Then I came back and then I
Nice.
stayed.
Nice.
Yeah, which is great.
And no plans of going back. I mean, taking out holidays from this question, you don't want to like shift back to the UK ever.
Have you seen the economy there? It's like crumbling. I mean, that's
you could have. You said you couldn't give back to the UK. You could have like getting stuck in the debt trap and like
Yeah.
paying mortgages.
Paying
and, like,
mortgages.
Why not? You know.
Why not? No, I don't. I'd never want to go live abroad.
Thank you for saying that.
It's true.
Yeah,
it's
because
true.
like even we see a lot of people, and I mean, a lot of our friends are now in Canada because Canada is like the new.
Do you remember there was a phase in Inquilab? In the last 5 years, we saw so many people just shift to Canada.
Like,
We was
Like-
just like, why are we losing people to Canada? And like, I am always like, I think people should, because it's
Yeah.
so nice here. Yes, there are problems.
I mean,
but-
you've lived abroad,
yeah, but I always wanted to come back.
right?
Always, I knew it in my heart. Like
Yeah.
I did. I mean, I was there for 1 year without my friends, and doing the thing that
Yeah.
I wanted to do. But I just wanted to be back. I knew that I want to be back here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's just, yeah, I think there's a part of me that sympathizes with the idea of moving abroad, leaving everything here, starting off fresh, sort of like leaving the baggage, the promise of opportunities. But I think I've been there, you know, and I feel like a part of me wanted to go study abroad and not maybe in JNU, which is just as good as a research institute as any other in the world, right? There's no dearth of
good institutions.
good institutions here, but I think I think that also came from this aspiration of like, let's see if there's anything better.
Yeah.
Let's see if the West is better than here, and I think we also carry this almost colonial conditioning.
We do, yeah.
We do,
that
absolutely.
we think that the West is the
Superior.
superior. It's an aspiration to that. So you're here, and then the next step is go abroad.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right, and I feel like, and I had that because I've never had an opportunity. No one in my family had moved abroad or had studied abroad. I was the first person to do it within my immediate family. But there was this aspiration. Let's see what it's like, and then I saw it, and I mean, कुछ सपने होने चाहिए.
Actually,
है
we're
ना?
glad you're back.
Yeah,
अच्छा,
they're more sweeter that way.
Right.
Yeah.
As a Sherlock Holmes, right? You are technically Sherlock Holmes when you go out to kind of hunt for a story, or you're looking for some information.
I like to think that in my head.
Of course, why
My
not?
contemporaries would be like, "Kya bol rahi hai?" She's fleeting
I think it's
herself,
very
but like
I think it's very interesting.
in my head, I'm like, I think that in my
Right.
head, yeah. I
So
think
tell
it's
us
so effective.
an incident and a story where you're kind of like something that is close to the heart, and also
Ooh. Okay.
that you've gone out and kind of maybe after a story something happened, like give us some masala.
There wasn't. Okay, I don't know. I don't know if it's. I don't know. I think it might be too political. I don't know. But this, I don't. It's not necessarily about a Sherlock Holmes investigative thing, but I think there's something very human to it. And I think this was when I interviewed Kirandeep, Amritpal's wife. I don't know. And I feel because both of us come from such polar opposite political ideas of what Punjab should be. One, because I know I'm a deeply feminist person. Second, my dad's been in the army.
Yep.
And then, of course, Kiran, Deep, and Amritpal, they have their own ideology, which of course you're allowed to have your own ideologies and opinions. It's a free country. I mean, if you weren't allowed to have an ideology or opinion, what's the point of being a free country, right? But of course, we had like different, and I was very nervous when I went into doing that story. I wasn't expecting to speak to the family. I wasn't expecting to meet her. I had read a lot about her already, whatever was out there on the internet, because you'd meant to do a bit of your research. But I think there was something quite, and I think I feel like there's always like the politics, right? There's always the ideologies, there's always the labels, but there's something so human about connection. There's just something so human about connection. Because Amritpal's family was going through exactly what I went through, which was the media was outside the house. The entire country was putting their son's photo up there
On the internet.
And saying terrible things and saying that he's done this and he's done that and he's on a chase. And even within the community, people were... so there's, of course, the larger narrative that he's horrible, whatever that might mean, whether it has... But there was this terrible, like, defamation, and we know how Indian news media works. It's not necessarily the greatest ways of journalism. Whether you agree with somebody's opinion or not, it's not good journalism. It's just terrible journalism. It's entertainment. You're not giving facts to, like, the public. That's a disservice in itself. And then on the other hand, even within the community... for their family, there was conversation that he's maybe cut his beard or he's like shaved off and he's changed his hulia and he's running away. So a sort of like, I'm a Sikh. My grandfather was a full bearded, proper Sikh himself. So I know the sort of pain there is, right, in those conversations as well, right? In those allegations. It's not an easy allegation. So I think when I went there, it was just, I could truly relate, and it's so close to home.
Right.
Right? It's so close to home. And he's also a young boy, and I met Kirandeep, and she was also a young girl. And I don't want to say too much because I told her I wouldn't say
Of course.
anything about her personal life, only what's been written. But I think, what I'll only tell you about my experience would just be that there was just something about human connection that is beyond political ideology and political differences, that the nuance, or like that there's this nuance that the internet discourse, the media discourse, the public opinion can just never capture, or just doesn't have the bandwidth or the infrastructure or the ability to capture.
Right.
Because when I went there, I felt for the family, and the family, they reached out to me and they said, we know a similar thing happened to you, and it's terrible. We know that the media stood outside your house exactly how they're standing outside mine. We saw you. We saw how they berated you the same way they're berating my son. We know who your dad is, and we are proud of what you've done. And there was, there was this very mutual sort of respect for each other,
Right.
while very much knowing that we don't necessarily agree on the on the same
Same-
issue,
right,
right?
right.
But there was so much mutual respect,
Right.
enough mutual respect for like them to open up to me, for letting me write the piece that I wrote, and for me to find a connection with Kirandeep. And we spoke. She's from the UK, so we spoke a bit about Birmingham and what life was there, and it was just very. And you know, in another world, maybe we could have all been friends,
Right.
right?
In an ideal world, yes.
In an ideal world, and it's quite terrible.
yeah.
I don't know, but I think there's some value to human connection, and I
Yeah.
often wonder, and I often just wonder how can that value between human connection from completely polar opposite ends be translated into our policy building in terms of peace building and in terms of like communal harmony. And I feel like we're somewhere failing because we just keep polarizing.
There's constant division.
There's constant division, but I think there's so much to like connect over. There's so much to, I don't know, but this is just my experience. Maybe I don't have like a very profound conclusion to it, but I
Of
think
course.
if there's something, it's just being moved by mutual respect, when the world doesn't expect it and the world doesn't know about, and yeah.
I think right, wrong, good, bad. It's like you said, public
Yeah.
opinion, but there is something beyond that. Like you said, human. At the end of the day, we're all human beings, right? We all have emotions, we have feelings, we think something, we don't think something, and that connection should always be. It should supersede.
Right.
It should be beyond what is being talked about. You know, what is being perceived. So I think I understand what you're trying to get here.
Yeah.
Yeah, like, you know, I mean.
And I think it's like one has to be a terrible human being to walk into somebody's home and to see someone's father, mother going through the worst time, and then just be like, well, this is my opinion and I feel strongly for it, and like and find that a place to
Went out.
vent out and to be like, you are wrong. It takes and I feel like we are, as a society, we've kind of reached that place where we're forgetting human connection and we're forgetting empathy. We're forgetting the foundations of what it means to be a society while having political differences. And I think that's quite important.
I think all for the sake of like when it comes to journalism, nothing is the type of journalism you do, but like journalism on general television is entertainment. It's like any other show out there.
Yeah.
Like it's like watching a soap opera. It's like, oh, breaking news. Like, I mean, I remember.
It's reality TV
It's reality TV.
with politics.
Yeah, 10
Yeah.
years back, breaking news used to be breaking news.
Yeah.
Now it's constantly there's a banner like कि भाई ये डाल दो पक्का.
हाँ,
कि
breaking news,
तो
breaking
24
news,
घंटे
breaking
चलेगी 365 days. तो
सब
ये
कुछ
सब
ही
कुछ
break हो
breaking
रहा
है.
है.
मतलब
हाँ.
then like what is the sense of it? Like what do you take seriously and what do you just
Not
like
take seriously.
what do
Yeah.
you just let pass? You know?
Yeah.
It's like that's why I mean I personally do not like to see any kind of news.
Also, like, why
I
has
just,
news suddenly become so negative? Why is it always so negative? Like, that's why I just.
And just so polarized.
Yeah.
I mean, as a citizen, I want information, I want facts. I don't care about the news anchor's opinion. If I want an opinion, I'll go read the newspaper and read the op-ed section of experts. I
Right.
don't necessarily want the news anchor's opinion. You know, you're a
Absolutely.
news anchor, you report, do your job. Does
That's
that
it,
make sense? Do you
Yeah.
know what I'm saying? Yeah. So which is why, I mean, I don't necessarily want to give opinions also on like the stories that I've done.
Of course.
But yeah, I just feel that I think it's too much of like the news anchors, like bigger personality. It's almost like every news anchor wants to be
A celebrity.
a celebrity. And I think a journalist and a celebrity shouldn't necessarily go, like a journalist's pursuit shouldn't be of celebrity, but to reflect the truth. And I think we're kind of missing that. And we're also seeing a lot of like mainstream TV journalism and journalists sort of relenting a lot to power, whether it's for money, whether it's for like advertisement, whether it's like for currying in favors, whether it is just actual fear of being shut down, because we do live in a world where that can happen.
Yeah.
It's
Is this a global problem? Is it an India problem?
I think polarizing is a global problem. It's not necessarily an India problem, because we've seen that with the American elections. We've seen
Correct.
that in the UK. the discourse in America has been so. Look at Trump, right? The fact that the riots happened at Capitol Hill. I know that the West loves to say that these are only problems that happen like the third world country, where these guys don't know how to do politics and they are uncivilized, quote unquote. But polarizing has happened in the West, and it's happened so much that you have like school shootings. There are polarized conversations about whether you can have guns or not. So it's not necessarily, these are not necessarily
in the West, right?
Yeah, it's like हमारे स्कूल में बच्चे कभी गन लाके सब शूट कर देते हैं. We have built a bunker for safety, but like gun laws, everyone's divided on abortions.
Yeah, that's a big thing
right?
in the US,
so
right?
The massive thing in the US, healthcare. Like I was telling you, India's become like the biggest medical hub for tourism because America does not have healthcare. It doesn't treat all its citizens equally. It's not affordable. If you have a toothache, suddenly you have to shell out 6 lakh rupees to get it fixed.
That's right.
In 6 lakh rupees, I can go do like a South Asia tour, be on a beach, get my tooth fixed.
All new teeth.
All new teeth,
Different colored.
Different colored.
Diamonds maybe studded on them.
Like a little stud. I'd love to get one. If I had 6 lakh to like do this. So I think there's definitely, I don't think these are, I don't think polarizing on political issues is just an India problem. Or rioting, for example, or communal problems are just India or South Asia problems. They're very much, I think media has played a lot of, a major role across the world in polarizing society, both traditional media and social media, I think.
Yeah,
I would
social
say,
media more.
Very recent, though.
Yeah. Yeah, it's like it can really kind of shape.
Yeah, like I know a lot of people who look at news on their
on their Instagram.
Not even Instagram, WhatsApp, like WhatsApp forward.
Oh my God.
कि
WhatsApp
like,
University.
like there's WhatsApp दवाइयाँ भी होती हैं कि ये 4 चीजें मिला दो, पता नहीं मोक्ष प्राप्ति हो जाएगी.
And I feel like it's so scary, right? Because of course, there's like political misinformation, disinformation that we face, but there's also during COVID, the misinformation and disinformation on social media about like vaccines, about what will save you. Even my mother, such a smart lady, so many wonderful things she's done. Very clever, very sharp. It's suddenly like धूप लगा दो यहाँ से COVID नहीं आएगा. And I'm just like, अरे mama, what are you doing? Do you know? Because she's like, नहीं ये मैंने पढ़ा है यहाँ पे.
Not all of us, but like all our parents, like even the I don't want to go into detail.
Yeah, but
like.
Yeah, it happened. Everyone did it. Do you know what I'm saying? Because and that's the power of misinformation and disinformation, right? Even like the sanest minds. But it's like sometimes I also fall prey to it. So many times, if you drink this supplement, this is great for your eyes, hair, and skin. So buy it. Of course, I also buy into it because I'm someone who's like seeking something that maybe makes my hair grow faster or my nails be healthier or my skin be glowier. So if like someone is putting out all this misinformation about a certain diet or a certain way of living, a certain brand of supplements, I also fall for it. So I can imagine why there are, of course, a generation who buys into like the vocabulary of Ayurveda or who buys into the vocabulary of dhoof se virus jata hai. Do you know what I'm saying?
Right.
Our grandparents would buy into it because we buy into the vocabulary of diet culture, right?
Absolutely.
So and I feel like there's one way to look at it where we're looking at it from a point of view being like, yeah, parents, what are you, do your research, don't fall for it. But as young people, we also fall for so many things.
Right.
And it's not just limited to like fitness, but it's also limited to even politics and the way we perceive politics as well. As young people, we also tend to not necessarily do our research. Sometimes we do look at Instagram infographics for our information. But the point is, should we look at like news reports? Or should we look at Instagram infographics? Should we look at Twitter opinion accounts? Or should we look at maybe a verified news source? And I think those are questions that we also need to ask ourselves as young people.
Yeah.
So I do think social media can be very dangerous.
Agreed. I think it all comes down to like when we talk about like the health industry kind of misleading people into buying different things and the media. I think it's like if you kind of perceive something as easy कि यार ये खा लो तो सही हो जाएगा या ये एक चीज़ पढ़ ली अब मुझे सब पता है. I think that's kind of human nature. You want things easy.
Yeah.
Like it's not like okay you have to put in 90 days of strict exercise every day with nutritional program and you look great.
Yeah.
As opposed to take this pill for 10 days and you look great. Obviously you'll be like 90 days छोड़ो पहले 10 दिन तो देखे नहीं होगा तो फिर it's like that. It's like you read somebody who you're following says something like यही है.
We'll
So I
believe
think,
this.
Yeah, I think we need to kind of dig deep, kind of not be satisfied with just like partial information and always
Be
kind
Sherlock Holmes.
of be Sherlock
Yeah,
Holmes.
be like Sherlock Holmes. It's like, like look for
ऐसे
it.
कैसे
मुझे पता हो.
भैया ऐसे कैसे
Yeah, that's so true.
है ना, right? I think we need to dwell deep into like I think we need to question. I think you know Bhag, right?
Yes.
So-
Yes, my favorite person.
his dialogue is like Paji blindly नहीं follow करना, question करो go question. It's like that's actually makes
That's
sense.
actually so true, right?
That
Everything
actually makes
question
sense.
it.
Question
Yeah,
it.
it's like
Like
someone
why,
is-
how, कहाँ,
Yeah.
कैसे, क्यों,
Why is
भैया,
intermittent
मतलब-
fasting good? Is it
Yes.
good? Is it not
Is
good?
it not good?
Pros
Is
and
it good
cons?
for you? Maybe
Yeah.
it's good for her. It's maybe good for me. Like I mean,
We'll have to figure it out. It's all science, experiments.
all science. All
Yeah,
science.
and with politics, it's social science. It's
Yeah,
experiments.
yeah.
You have to like pursue it. Don't like take information as it comes. And I
Yeah.
feel like these days a lot of people are also trying to feed information because it works for them.
Yeah.
And even if it's people on Instagram or even if it's bigger like news industries or if it's political parties, everyone has something to gain from feeding information to the world, whether it's like a like or two or like a reshare or a bit of like followers, or whether it is advertiser money, or whether it's TRPs, whether it is funding a full news organization, or whether it's something larger like political votes. It's like there is, for people putting out information out there, there's always something to gain.
I think it's all validation.
It's all validation.
Right, from that one
Yeah.
like to a big corporation wanting their company to
It's
grow. वो चाहिए कि
yeah.
भाई हाँ भाई I am getting this done. Or this corporation is going to be the biggest. I think it's all like human. Again, comes down to that human
comes down to
aspect
that
of
thing,
like
right?
aspirations
Yeah.
and like background saying that okay
Yeah.
I want to be the best. I want to be like the buffest.
Yeah, I want to be
But,
the
like-
leader of this country.
Yeah,
Yeah,
exactly.
so I'm
It's
gonna
aspirational,
it's
right?
aspiration.
And I think-
and I think as human beings and as citizens, we should always be like Bhag said, question it. Like everything.
Question
It
about
doesn't
that.
matter, even if it's the person you truly love. Question it. Even if
Yeah.
it's like your own ideology, like question it. Like always, just for the sake, just for like fun in your own head, for your own mental debate. It doesn't take much. It's just like, yeah, let's see the other side of it.
I have a
think
question
questioning
for
is-
you.
Oh, okay.
See, I'm not going to believe what you're saying. No,
Oh God.
I am going to question you.
Yeah, which is why I started with questions to you guys before I
you
start.
can't just be like
Yeah.
भैया आप पूछो. You have to. Now I know. Okay, so what's in store for you? Like now, what next? Even
What
though you're
next?
talking about staying in the moment, but like, what are you working towards right now?
I'm working towards a bigger project,
Okay,
which I don't want to talk right now.
that's fine.
Because I will
Oh my
jinx
God.
it. And it is something related to exactly what you guys mentioned in the podcast sometime before.
Oh my God, are you going to leave us at that?
Yeah,
Oh my
will.
God.
I might have to, but I'll tell you off record.
Hmm.
But it is very in alignment with the purpose of your podcast.
Okay, got it.
Yeah, but that's a big project, and it is a home project.
Nice.
Yeah,
nice.
it is me coming back home. I mean, not coming back home forever to live, which I really hope I do.
I mean,
I really
why
want
not?
to. Just like half time here. Half
I
time
know.
down.
I sort of like.
Have an
You
idea.
figured it out?
Yeah.
But
yeah.
question it. Don't
But
let
question it. I'll tell. No, but I'll tell you later.
Off
Yeah,
camera.
but no, that is the big project that I'm working on.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
Beautiful. Best of luck for that.
Thank you.
and
Yeah.
I'm sure we're going to see what it
So,
is.
which
People
means
are
we'll
going to say.
see more of Gurmehar.
Yeah.
Oh yeah,
That'll be really
which would be
Some-
so fun.
Some more interesting conversations,
Yeah,
about
plus I really
I
just
would
want
like-
to like hang out on Zoka and just
And
like
Inquilab.
actually enjoy it.
and Inquilab.
Yeah, can I? If you'll train me,
Uh,
and I know it's a shame that I've never come.
is that? I mean,
It's
Even
because
Bani, you have also never
Bani?
come.
it's such, no. I feel like the way they say closer to temple, further from God. Closer to temple, further from
That's
God.
actually true.
That's what's happening with us. It's so
But I've seen
close.
you outside Inquilab many times.
No, that's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Contemplating,
Yeah,
like-
take a walk, cross it. क्या हो रहा है
It's like
नीचे, क्या हो
दूर
रहा है?
से, oh my god, I think it's
Like,
Vera
who are these
rushing back
Yeah, who are
inside.
these people playing like basketball? Like I said, close to temple further from God.
Yeah.
But I should come. Maybe I'll come tomorrow. Maybe I will.
There you go. See,
है ना?
ऐसे होता है काम life में.
Maybe I'll come tomorrow. Maybe I'll just show up and be like, hi guys.
See, if you want to actually show dedication,
Yeah.
gym opens at 6. You should be there at 5.
So cheap.
Waiting.
Yeah.
Like warming up.
Warming up. Yeah, you'll see me with Nobu at 5. Both of us.
Probably sleeping. No, we'll let.
Yeah, no, like, what are you doing, bro? This is not my time.
Acha, so my final question for Gurmehar, since we're short time. What does the balanced path mean to you?
Ooh, that's a very heavy question. What does the balanced path mean to me? I think I've spoken so much about polarization. We've spoken so much about like being on different sides. We've also spoken about the extremes of education and sport. We've spoken about so much. But I think, what does the balanced path mean to me? I think these days, when I think about balance, especially as I'm in my mid-20s, early career building, I think one of the most important things I'm looking at is balance between like my health and work, because I think in the pursuit of a career and greatness, we often do neglect health as well. And when I say health, it's also mental health, it's also physical health, and I know I've been doing it for the last year, so it's a very recent realization that I can't just sit down and focus on and just like crouch over my computer and keep writing and spending lots of time, endless hours working. I need to take out time for myself and for my mental health and do therapy, and for my physical health and do a sport again.
Nice.
But yeah, so I think for me a balanced path would always just be, because we've spoken about balance quite a bit, but it's just one, finding something that has the best of the two things you're looking at. Yeah.
So I think mental, physical, and work-wise, everything balanced in terms of like nothing is kind of overlapping, taking something off here and there. It's like
and making it a priority.
I
think actively making it a priority. I know a lot of us say that, oh, of course, I want my mental health and my career and like and physical health to be balanced, but I think. But even that balance is a journey, right? That balance isn't achieved the day you decide you want it to be. The balance is in discipline. The balance is I am going to take out 1 hour from my life to go to the gym. The balance is I am going to sit down with my family for dinner today instead of watching Netflix. The balance is that I am going to show up for my therapy appointment twice a month. Right? It is like showing up. And I think that balance isn't necessarily हाँ जी मुझे balance मिल गया अपनी ज़िंदगी में. But that balance. It's acts of balance. Yeah. It is, finding that balance so you can make your core a bit stronger. And ऐसे बोलने को तो बहुत कुछ बोल देते हैं मेरा बहुत balance है जी, but नहीं
होता.
You have to do the acts of it.
And I think the strive for balance is an everyday thing.
Yeah.
You can't be like आज मैंने सब कुछ किया. I worked, I sat with family, I worked out, but tomorrow I'm like whatever.
Yeah. कल मैंने कर
true.
लिया तो आज I'll take a back.
Yeah, exactly.
It has to be part of your lifestyle. Otherwise, it's not going to work.
Otherwise, it's not balanced.
Agreed.
Because I feel like there's this mentality when, especially when younger, early 20s mentality. Let's hustle.
Yeah.
We need to make do extra. Like ज़्यादा करेंगे तो better होएगा. And especially when you're actually trying to make a career. Everything else takes a back seat. Like I think it's a blessing to have a sporting background, because then you understand the importance of any physical activity and also mental fitness. So you always have that somewhere in the background. Yeah. You're also like hustling, but you also have that. Maybe you don't
you have that thing in the background. ज़्यादा कर लेंगे injury हो जाएगी पर 10 महीने के लिए out.
Right.
Do you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
You're like, okay, just enough.
Just enough.
Yeah.
So I feel like that is great. But I feel like in that hustle, like we end up always like keeping everything, like, you know how there's a pile of clothes that people don't put back in their cupboards?
Yeah.
They're like, बाद में रख देंगे, and the pile becomes really big.
Yeah.
So I feel like that's what usually happens when you're actually hustling. The fitness and the mental health pile keeps getting bigger.
Keeps getting bigger,
It gets so ugly that you don't want to address it.
Yeah.
So
God.
I feel like, I think that's where you put it really well.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
Okay, guys, so strive for balance in your everyday lives and be consistent towards it so that, you can live a much happier, healthier life.
Yeah.
And it has been fun, Gurmehar. It was lovely having
No,
you. Thank
it
you
was
so
so
much.
nice
And I
being
hope we
here.
get another chance to, podcast you again.
Yep.
I mean,
Fingers crossed.
मेरियां
I'll
गल्लां
do
नहीं
a
मुक्कियां, yeah.
Yeah.
Honestly
Oh, I
speaking.
feel like no, both of us are just talking. I'm so yeah, this is a very chatty podcast. I'll let you finish. I'm so sorry.
No, go
yeah,
for it,
but
go. I'm-
that's a compliment to a very good host.
Oh, is it?
Yeah.
Please.
Because I just want to speak
ਇਹਦੀ
more. Both of you.
reel ਬਣਾ ਦਿਓ
Yeah.
please. Guest host ਕਰਕੇ please. But yeah, it has been fun. And yeah, this is me and Vera signing off, guys. Have a great day. Thank you, Gurmehar. once
Thank
again.
you.
Thank you, team.
Yeah.
Thank you very
Thank
much.
you, thank you.
Bye-bye.